Bochsler's coming up to talk about a case study on one of his deals.
Quieter, Mike. I talk loud. Can everyone hear me? Excellent. Well, thanks for the invitation. My name is Bob Bochsler, and I've got a short case study for everyone tuning in online and present. Wanted to keep it brief, but also wanted to share some details of how this actually happened. This is a house that I own and actually live in at the moment. It's a great area, South Tabor, 59th and Division, just off of Division in Southeast Portland. And I own this property without having to put any of my own cash into the deal. And that sounds like a myth, sounds like a legend. I'm going to demystify that right now as to how it actually happened. Actually, because I'm a licensed broker, I actually got paid a commission to buy this house with none of my own cash. So it really blows your mind when you start thinking about this and learning more and more as you progress. Who's got the slides? There we go. So this is even less mystifying, I hope, because this began as a listed property, right? And as a broker, I'm able to scour the MLS, watch for opportunities, and read what people put into their marketing. So a couple things I want to direct you to. One is the list price. This is a fixer house, and it's listed at $540 in the top right. And as soon as this comes on the market, I start paying attention to it because it's a great area and it's a fixer. But if we scroll down slightly, my tail starts wagging a lot when I read the private remarks. So I'm just going to read it. Seller willing to look at any and consider all offers. Don't let the price keep you away from viewing. Corner lot zoned R2.5. House is a fixer. And then this part really perked my interest. Owner willing to carry second with right terms. Sold as is, blah, blah, blah. That is a weird thing for somebody to put into their marketing. And you might be thinking that's just, they're open to financing. And yes, they are. But the way they wrote it was weird. You don't normally say, I'm interested in carrying a second. That's, owner will finance or owner financing available is more common. For some reason, they wrote that. I don't know if it's a brain fart or what. But now I'm intrigued, so I dig in and let's carry on. So I go tour the property. It's disgusting. It's been a rental for 20 plus years with the same tenants, renting for about $1,000 a month, I would guess, in this 3-bedroom house in a great neighborhood. And this is 2018, mind you, so this is just a few years ago. I walk through and now I'm really interested. I'm like, this is way overpriced. Even if you do all the development stuff, this thing's not going to move. And obviously they're open to offers. Not only are they open to offers, but they're open to financing. And so if somebody's open to financing, that opens up a lot more variables that we can discuss just one-on-one as human beings. Like, what are you after? What are you trying to accomplish here? Let's figure out how to do it with this asset that you own. All right, more nasty photos. Oh, let's scroll up. I think we missed some slides. I can tell you the story. We don't need slides if we did lose them. Is there any black slides in there with some notes on them? We could go to email. Sure. While he's pulling that up, I'll tell you how this progresses. I walk the property. I see it. I'm intrigued, and I call the broker. Here we go. I ultimately call a meeting because it becomes very clear they're open to an offer. They're open to being involved with the financing. And I'm open to doing a lot of work, which this is going to need. We sit down and I call a meeting with the broker and the seller. And I got his approval to, obviously he needed to be there too. So that there was no behind the back dealings. It was, let's sit down together and figure this out. Now, I came with a number in mind. You can see my purchase price eventually went to $450. That's almost $100,000 off their purchase price. But what we did was we sat down and I said, what do you see happening here? And like any seller you guys have been involved with, guys and gals, they proceeded to tell me everything that is gold plated about this property. It's got a big basement. You can build an ADU down there or in the backyard, corner lot. You can split it, build another house. All these ways I'm going to get rich by buying their house. And I said, that's great, but that costs a shitload of money. So just to I brought these numbers with me, by the way, because I had thought it through and said, I'm going to need at least 35 grand to rehab the upstairs. I'm going to need I'm going to try to be conservative, 80 grand to build an ADU. And I'm going to be holding this house vacant for 6 to 9 months while I do all that work. So, and I also figured I could justify an after repair value after I do all that work of about 620 for this house. And if you do the math, that's not a huge spread. So I've got to have a reason. We all have to have a reason to spend all this blood, sweat, and tears making this happen, because it is blood, sweat, and tears. These aren't lack of risk deals that we do, and they take a lot of time, energy, and effort and risk. So ultimately, I said, let's sit down one more time, and I'm going to offer you exactly what you told me you wanted. I said, I'm going to offer you $450. That wasn't what you wanted, but that's what I can make happen. And I'm going to give you a down payment from the proceeds of a new first position loan not to exceed $205,000. Owner, you are going to carry a second, just like you put in your, and I kept talking that way, by the way, too. Once they put it out there, I kept saying that and speaking that language. You're going to carry a second. In other words, he's going to subordinate his lien of $383,000. And during our discussion, I did learn that he was collecting about $1,000 a month in rent. So plus he has to pay taxes and insurance and everything on top of that. So I offered to pay him $1,000 a month of interest as my monthly payment. That's an interest only payment. And if you do the math, I'm offering him to give me a loan for $383,000 at $1,000 a month of interest. That's a 3.1% subordinated seller carry note. Also, I'm asking for a first lien position of $205,000. Now, if you remember from the previous slide, I'm offering him 67 grand down. That's his down payment, as well as paying the broker commissions. Plus, I need 35K to rehab the house and about 100K for holding costs and the ADU. So that all boils down to $205,000. Who here thinks they could go get a loan for $205,000 in first position on a house you're buying today for $450,000? I see a few hands. That's good, because that's an under 50% loan to value loan. If anyone with cash who needs it to go to work would give you that loan. And there's many reasons why, but that's why we're here, to keep learning these kind of nuances. So ultimately, they took this proposal to their attorney. Their broker, the principal broker of the other firm, reviewed it. The attorneys gave them some feedback. We overcame those, and ultimately they said yes. So now I have teed up a great acquisition that needs a lot of work, but I'm excited to do the work for none of my own cash. And if we scroll down, this is fast forwarding to the end. Now we can't go into too many details, but here are some of them. After renting the main floor for maybe $2,400, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and the basement now is an ADU for about $1,250. That worked out to an NOI of $2,700. We've got to service our new first position loan, and then we've got to pay the seller in second for $1,000 a month. That means that this property, at the end of the day, cash flows $565 a month with no out of pocket. In Southeast Portland in 2018, it's kind of unheard of. And there's some reasons that that's able to happen, right? Seller financing, they can be flexible. They can decide their terms of their loan. I'm paying him interest only or more, so I'm not knocking down the principal every month, but that's okay. I want to hold on to this for 10 plus years and let Portland do Portland things. All that work, and I don't have a ton of equity, which is fine, because at the end of the day, if we scroll down, we'll see some pretty photos of the after. So that's the main level, nice hardwood floors. It cleaned up nice. It needed some paint. And then scrolling down further, we've got the ADU build out in the basement. They've stayed full since it was done. But again, we, as smart investors, we always, here's a good note for your notes. We've always got to buy cash flow or equity or both. Here, I bought some cash flow for no out of pocket, which is great, but not a lot of equity. But once we own it, when you're in a highly desirable location, we can look for expandability. So it's small, but you can see a picture there of a tiny home parked in the backyard. And I just put an ad on Craigslist saying, hey, you can come park your tiny home, $500 a month. They rent that, 10-foot wide by 30-foot wide piece of dirt from me for $500 a month to park their tiny home there. So this is us. I'm Bob Bochsler again. I didn't put my number on the screen, but come find me. Let's grab a beer, grab coffee sometime. I own Box Real Estate, which is full of awesome brokers around Portland who are investment minded, just like Uptown. We do similar things, and we're looking for acquisition because that's what gets us freedom. So selling houses is great, but buying houses is better. So let's go get after it.